Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Swanson, and it's my duty as President of the Ireland-U.S. Council to welcome you to this actually historic dinner tonight. This is number 50, so congratulations. I want to thank everybody for making a special effort to get here this evening. It's been a very difficult last, I guess, about 12 days now. Hopefully, most of you have survived the storm in good fashion, but there are obviously were a number of people who lost their lives in Hurricane Sandy here in the New York area, and our prayers go out to them and to the families of those people. The members and directors of the Council are extraordinarily pleased to recognize the substantial contributions made by Pearse Lyons in building these connections between us. Through his leadership, the economic and business bonds between America and Ireland have been greatly facilitated and enhanced. The Council is delighted to honor such an outstanding and worthy recipient in this well-deserved award. It is a high honor and a distinct privilege to ask you to join me in welcoming Pearse Lyons.
Good evening. The first thing they said to me when I came in was, well, you know that you're only supposed to speak for 6-7 minutes. Now let me tell you, it's a long time since County Louth, the wee county, won the All-Ireland. And since it's a long time, I think I'm entitled to speak for a long time. So how does somebody with a degree in brewing, and incidentally, most of us Irish think we have a degree in brewing. And I come from a teetotal family. My mom never drank, my dad never drank, my older brother never drank, my older sister never drank. I had an onerous responsibility to keep the balance up. And so I joined Harp Lager. I was living in Dundalk and and got to like beer, which is not unusual for an Irishman. But I went on anyway, and I became a brewer, and life really changed. But how do you build a business, an Irish business, with all the attributes that we have in Ireland, and we have many? And how do you build an Irish business with no outside investment? And how do you build an Irish business from $10,000 to $1 billion with a target for $4 billion? In 3 to 4 years. Let me tell you, you build it, frankly, by being Irish. And you build it by going back to Ireland, and you build it by reaching out to the attributes that we have in Ireland. How do you compete with the Pfizers of this world? How do you compete with the Alancos of this world? Well, you go back and you look at the education processes that we have in Ireland, second to none. And as you look at those education processes, I stand in front of you and tell you that over the last 10 years, we've had nearly 250 young people do their masters and do their PhDs in areas of interest to us. There's 5 words, perhaps, which describe an entrepreneur, and certainly an Irish entrepreneur. And the first one's speed. Don't dwell on the things, just do it. You know, don't get it right, get it going. I have a PhD in failure. And that's what PhDs are all about. You try things. And so speed, we saw an opportunity in global warming. Do you know that every dairy cow in New Zealand now has a charge of $30? It's a carbon footprint charge. And so how do we do something about that? Well, we can do something about that. We saw an algae factory. These little algae, most of us think that the carbon dioxide of this world is a problem, and coal is a problem. Coal is an opportunity. It's an opportunity because algae gobbles up carbon dioxide and incidentally converts it into oxygen. So we have a factory doing that. How do you, in fact, use your brewing side? My wife, Deirdre, probably, we don't really believe too much anymore, it seems like, in Ireland in saints. But Deirdre is going forward for sainthood. Anybody who's been with me for 40 years deserves to be a saint. But she tells a story. I mean, I travel and love traveling. And she said to me on one occasion, she said, Pearse, do you know, I have been counting. She's a little bitty woman. She's not a big lady. She said, I have been counting. I said, where have you been counting? She says, I have been counting the number of days that you have been home last year. I said, yes, ma'am. And what have you found out? She said, you've been home for 30 days, 30 nights. I said, yep. You've got to improve, she said. Next year, I only want you home for 20. But you have to have somebody behind you, at your side, in fact, who's going to put up with the things that you have to do. But how do you do something like a brewery? Imagine Lexington, Kentucky. Y'all come and see us. And I don't exactly speak like a Kentuckian, but we built, Deirdre built, the first distillery in over 100 years in downtown Lexington. And it's a marvel. And incidentally, when we saw that the last independent Irish distillery had just been bought by Jim Beam, what did we do? We bought 2 stills. And we shipped them to Ireland. And last week we made the first independent Irish whiskey in probably 50 years, and we don't even have a name for it. But we got 3 years. Is that not going for it? At UCD, I had a professor, and he used to say to me, Pearse, you have to have the curiosity of a 6 or 7-year-old. I'm a biochemist. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would share a podium with none other than James Watson of the DNA. But I was on the podium with him, and we were keynote speakers. And I mean, you talk about, you know, something being surreal, that was surreal. But there was one thing that he had, and one thing that my professor said you have to have is curiosity. Think about it. My background is in brewing. What am I doing with Alzheimer's? I forget. Alzheimer's is the world's #1 disease. It's a $150 billion problem in the United States alone, and that doesn't include the social aspect, the caregivers. And we're now at phase 2 on a compound for Alzheimer's disease, and we go to the market with it early in the new year. That's curiosity. That's James Watson. That's Irish entrepreneurship. And that's what you guys are all about. We have a graduates program. We went out and we looked for people. I need people, young people to join us. And so we went out and we put a program together with the help of my daughter, who's a clinical psychologist. And we got 3,000 people, basing it in Ireland. And now we're down to 30 people. And these people are going to be given projects, and those projects will take them around the world. Endeavour number 2. Ireland's a great place to do research. We've tied in 5 universities in China with 5 universities in Ireland, along with, incidentally, 21 universities around the rest of the world. And these people are coming to us, and they want to do research. And so we have the graduates program, and we have the research program. The list is endless. Curiosity is what the Irish have in abundance. And curiosity is what drives business. Did I ever think, when I was a reluctant student going to UCD, a very reluctant student, what would I want to do a degree for? But my mum was many things, most of which she was most proud of was she was a dictator. You will go to university. And so we went to university. But when I got to university, you create that curiosity. I'm going to leave you with 5 Ds. Write them down. The first D is to dream. You got to dream big. And if you don't write down your dream, you won't make it happen. If you think it, ink it. Write it down. So dream. The second D is to dare. Dare to be different, but don't leave your Irishness behind. If I was to choose a nation that I wanted to be the citizen of, I would choose to be Irish. We never won any wars. Well, we did win the Eurovision contest, maybe. So do you remember the guy, the English tour guide? He was going through Dublin, and he stops, the Irish tour guide, and he stops, and he says, across here, the Irish tour guide says, on this very spot, he said, because we have the great big statue there, this is where 54 horrible, notorious, heavily armed Englishmen attacked one Irish woman, and she fought them off valiantly and killed them all, and so we have a statue. And went around the corner and there was another one. He said, well, what's that statue? He said, well, that statue is to commemorate 900 Englishmen attacking 5 Irishmen. And when it was all over, he said, the Irishmen were still standing and we won. So this went on and on and on. So finally, a little Englishman at the back of the bus says, excuse me, did England never win any battles in Ireland? He said, not in my bloody bus, they didn't. So we have to dream. We have to dare, and we have to desire. You need to want to make something happen. And then you have to decide. Go for it. Decide. And finally, you have to dedicate. You've given me a great honor tonight. But it's not my honor. It's the honor of the 3,600 people who now work with us. It's the honor of what they do. And when we say in our company 5 or 6 things, the 5 most important words are, how can I help you? And that's throughout our company. And the 4 most important words are, what do you think? What do you think? And the 3 most important words, after you, please. And the 2 most important words, thank you. And yet, the 1 single most important word is we. So I think we can do an awful lot. And I think we can really get out there into Ireland, and with the Irish-American connection, we can help America. Because after all, this is where we're living. And we can help Ireland, because after all, that's where our gra is, that's where our background is. And the least important word is me. So you've given me this honor, and I've spoken, thank you very much, for more than 5 minutes. To eat your heart out. And I don't know how I'm going to get this back to wherever we're going. I really wish you would give something which was collapsible. And we could take a picture and have it there. Ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? Your organization does a wonderful job. And for me to be associated in any small way with your organization, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off and I would salute you. Mr. President, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.